Greetings, people of the interwebs. Jake here, back again. This is the most active I've been on this channel in a while. So last night I just uploaded my kind of belated thoughts on the whole Hunt for Gollum movie, and Warner Brothers developing more uh, movies set in Middle Earth. And then I don't know, like a few days later, Amazon finally released the first teaser for the second season of Rings of Power. Um, I'll kind of be going a little bit into my thoughts on this teaser. But I'm going to be honest. I wasn't sure season 2 was even coming out this year. Because I know, like, early in the year, maybe even late last year, there was a lot of, like, rumors on whether it would actually come out this year, be delayed until next year because of the whole writer's strike. And I'd also heard rumors about, like, massive reshoots and stuff like that. And even though I kept seeing, like a lot of the Tolkien groups that I'm a part of on social media kept seeing all these threats saying season 2 was coming, 2025 or 2024. For the last couple of months now, just kept seeing that, Rings of Power season 2 coming 2024. And I was like, is it though? Is it? Because, there up until this first teaser, there has been no promotion whatsoever. They haven't released any photos. They haven't released. I don't even think, at least to my knowledge, Amazon hadn't even released like any articles. Nothing. Radio silence. Whereas compared to the first season, I'm pretty sure they were showing like official pictures. They were releasing articles, kind of detailing a little bit of the characters and story of season 1. And I think we even got our first teaser. If it wasn't a full year before that first season, it was like several months. Like I want to say it was around like 6 months or so before the season even came out, because they were really trying to hype this show up. Um, so a part of me thinks that Amazon don't have a whole lot of faith in this show, and that's why, because the season's only like 3 months, like 3.5 months away, and this is when we get our first teaser. Um, and also kind of feel like part of it too is they wanted to release it to maybe draw attention away from the whole Hunt for Gollum movie and Warner Brothers developing more Middle Earth projects, and even House of the Dragon, because like House of the Dragon released their trailer. If it wasn't the same day, it was like a day before Rings of Power. So it's almost like Amazon wanted to do that intentionally to kind of be like, oh hey, don't forget about us. We're making stuff too. Although based on the trailer, at least the ratio, which as of now, 75,000 likes. Let's see, what is? It doesn't even show me the dislike ratio, so I'm assuming it's a lot. I think the last I checked, it was like 200,000 or something like that, or close to it. So clearly not a lot of people excited about this, understandably, because that first season was atrocious. But anyways, so now that I've kind of got that out of the way, with my rambly preface, let's start with the trailer. So I'm going to watch a little bit of it. I would put it on screen, but last time I did that for a trailer, I got a copyright strike, so I'm going to not do that just to be safe. And I'll kind of discuss it as I'm watching this little trailer. So obviously the first shot that we see is Halbrand walking into Mordor as Mordor proper, which should have been Mordor to begin with, because in the lore, Morgoth was the one who created Mordor, but that's a tangent. So we see him walking into Mordor, because that's where we left off at the end of Season 1. Then we get this nice voiceover from Durin the Fourth, talking about great evils returned. Then this weird symbiote-looking, goopy creature. I have no clue what that is, what it's supposed to be, but it looks like the symbiote from the Marvel Universe. And we get this shot of Galadriel and a few other elves. Looks like they're about to fight some Barrow Wights. They're kind of hard to see, but if you pause it, you can actually see like these glowing eyes in the background, kind of in the mist. So I'm assuming they're Barrow Wights. Could be wrong, but that's the first thing that comes to mind is what they could be. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like, and then all this moth stuff. I don't know what's going on here. I'm assuming those are like some more of those Sauron cultists we saw in season 1 that thought Discount Gandalf was Sauron for some reason. So now we get like these orcs walking through the forest. So I'm assuming this is Sauron's army marching towards Eregion before he sacks it. And then this shot of Celebrimbor, and I'm assuming that's Sauron just based on the imagery, about to kill him. And then, of course, we get Charlie Vickers, the actor who played Halbrand / Sauron in season 1. Now we get him as Anatar. So even though in the books Tolkien never described Anatar or Sauron in his Anatar form as looking like an elf, he's only described as being very fair in appearance. I actually don't mind that he looks like an elf, because to me that makes sense, because he was sent as an emissary of the Valar. So, sure, okay, that's fine. My biggest problem, though, is... So, there are a lot of rumors a few months back that Amazon had cast another actor to play Anatar, so the disguised Sauron. And that, to me, would have made a lot more sense than keeping the same actor, which, I thought he was fine. I think it would have made more sense to cast another actor as the disguised Anatar form of Sauron. Otherwise, these elves are the dumbest people on Earth. Because, since they're using the same actor, us, the audience, obviously we know that that's Sauron. But even the elves, they're supposed to be the wisest people, like beings on Middle Earth. Surely they could recognize that elf looks exactly like Halbrand, just with a long flowing hair and elf ears. So I feel like, and that was a big mistake, I think, of season 1. Well, one of many mistakes of season 1. But I thought that was one of many, but they kind of wrote themselves into a corner, I think, by having Halbrand show up in Eregion, and then, for whatever reason, go out of order and make the 3 Elvish rings first, even though in the books, they're the last 3 to be created. So I don't understand that logic at all. And now, the problem they've come across is, so even though a lot of what or at least like this, there's a lot of focus on Eregion, Celebrimbor, and Sauron as Anatar. So I like that, because it looks like, oh hey, it's like they're actually trying to follow the source material, unlike season 1. But this is stuff that we should have gotten in season 1, instead of their stupid-ass fanfic that they did. And so, again, this is just going to make the elves look really dumb, that Sauron, in essentially a repeat of what we got in those last 2 episodes of season 1, where Halbrand has, infiltrated the elves, and he's, helping Celebrimbor make the 3 elfish rings. Just, he's got a wig now and elf ears. And it's just so dumb. Like, they should have just had Sauron as Anatar in season 1. Just have him, like, in the background as, like, a side character, so that way us, the book readers, we know who he is. We know what he's up to, but maybe the people who aren't familiar with the lore, that could have been a cool reveal for them in this season, that turns out that Anatar was Sauron the whole time, but instead the stupid misdirection where they're trying to be like, oh, Halbrand, he's definitely not Sauron. No, he was Sauron. Like, if you did not see Halbrand turning out to be Sauron from, like, episode 1, I don't know, I guess you just weren't paying enough attention, or, I don't know, I guess also to be fair, like, the show is terrible, so, no judgment here, but that was very clearly, they just did a terrible job of that misdirection. So, I don't know. And even though this trailer, it does look more promising, because like I said, it does look like they're actually following some of the source material, so that's a plus. But I feel like at this point, they already changed so much from the lore in season 1, that if they do try to actually get on track with the lore, they've changed so much that it's going to be a pain in the ass for them to actually do that. And again, that's kind of my problem, again, based on this teaser, where we see Anatar version of Sauron. Again, I just feel like it's going to be a repeat of the last 2 episodes, where he's... And then there's that voiceover where someone's like, oh, he's been here the whole time, Sauron. Yeah, no shit. He was there earlier as Halbrand. Now he just has long hair, clean shaven, and elf ears, and yet you didn't recognize him? Also, again, in the books, Galadriel, she saw through his shit. She didn't know he was Sauron when he was Anatar, but she definitely didn't trust him. So is she gonna trust him as Anatar this time? I really hope that they improve on Galadriel because she was awful. She was basically the villain in season one. Um, I really hope that they took a lot of the criticism that people had from season one of like everything and try to like improve it. That's probably wishful thinking. I really don't think they'll make a whole lot of improvements or have made a whole lot of improvements to make things better. I think they're just gonna double down and keep doing their shitty fanfic. But yeah, I don't know. Let me keep watching some more of this here trailer. Give more of my thoughts. Oh yeah. That's the thing. Is after we see that shot of Anatar, we get the actual release date, August 29th. So again, took them long enough to finally announce anything. Then we get this weird shot of some woman underwater with this weird sea creature. So I'm assuming this is probably a dream sequence, most likely Tarmiriel seeing another vision of the destruction of Numenor. Now, why there's a giant tentacle creature, I don't know. I guess that's them just doing their own thing. Either that, or the only other thing I can think of is that sea creature could be one of the nameless things, or possibly even the Watcher in the Water that attacked the Fellowship, because it kind of matches that description with like all the tentacles and stuff. But if it is the Watcher in the Water, that makes no sense because the Watcher of the Water didn't show up until the Third Age when the orcs had dammed the river and created that lake next to Durin's door. So, I don't know. And then we get some shots of what looked like Khazad-dûm getting attacked. So, again, in my opinion, there's one of two things that would make sense in this situation. Either one, that I think would make the most sense and be the most likely, is that rock falling down on that bridge could be maybe Sauron attacking the exterior of Khazad-dûm. Maybe as he's destroying Eregion, because Eregion and Moria are right next to each other. And the elves of Eregion and the dwarves of Khazad-dûm did a lot of trade, and even Celebrimbor and Narvi created the Door of Durin with the passphrase. So that would be my guess as to what's happening, and again, that would make sense. But seeing as how they teased the Balrog at the end of season one, I feel like they're gonna do they're just gonna jump right into the destruction of Khazad-dûm, which doesn't make any sense because the Balrog didn't show up until I think it was about 2,000 years into the Third Age. When Khazad-dûm collapsed and became known as Moria, which is Sindarin for the Black Pit. Because again, they're playing fast and loose with the lore and the rules and the history. They don't give a shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Balrog and they're just skipping straight to the destruction of Moria. And I do like a lot of the visuals. That was definitely one of the few strengths and redeeming qualities of season one. So a lot of the visuals we're seeing here, in particular, like the sacking of Eregion, some more shots of Khazad-dûm and Numenor, all look solid. And then we get this shot of Durin the Third holding one of the Rings of Power. So it looks like they are definitely crafting the Dwarvish rings for sure, based on this teaser. Don't know if they'll be making the 9 rings for men in the season as well, or if they're going to save that for next season. But the ring that Durin's holding looks more like a ring pop candy than it does an actual ring. Maybe that's just me being nitpicky here, but I don't love that design. So we get this shot of Arondir doing a cool flippy thing, drawing his bow. I feel like that flip kind of defies the laws of physics. But, whatever. They gotta make elves do cool elf stuff, especially after, Legolas in The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy, where he also defied the laws of physics a few times. and I don't know where his story is going to go in this season. Because even though he was one of my favorite characters, and one of the again few highlights of season one, I don't know where him, Theo, and like the Southlanders story. I don't know where that's going. I mean, Arondir, I could kind of see him maybe like traveling to Eregion possibly, and maybe being a part of that storyline. But like all the characters in the Southlands, like Bronwyn and Theo, 'cause, like those are really the only two named characters of the Southlands that I can think of. I don't know what their story would be like or what their importance would even be. So I'd be totally okay if we just see Arondir maybe traveling north to Eregion or some other place, and his story starts to tie in more there and just not deal with the Southlanders at all. So we get this really cool shot of Numenor and one of the eagles arriving. So again, in what Tolkien wrote is during the earlier years of Numenor, there were Eyries where the eagles lived. However, once the Numenorians started to become corrupted and started to kind of turn away from the Valar, that's when the eagles left. However, like I said earlier, they're playing fast and loose with the lore here, but also part of it I do understand is they're condensing the timeline of the Second Age, for better or worse, most likely worse, just based on what I'm seeing so far. So I don't know if this eagle that we see is possibly one of the eagles that were at one point native to Numenor, or if possibly this eagle is maybe was sent from Valinor. My guess probably not that, just because they don't have a whole lot of the rights to like a lot of the First Age stuff, and even though Valinor is mentioned throughout the Lord of the Rings books and in the appendices, to my recollection, there's not a whole lot of lore that I feel like they would want to delve into. I don't know. Could be wrong, because I had heard a rumor that they had acquired additional rights to like First Age content. So maybe, I don't know. Then we get this cool shot of the new of Eregion being sacked, and then the new actor playing Adar, who Adar was easily the best character in season one. Probably one of the only few compelling characters, like the actor who played him. So I don't really know what Adar's role is going to be in this season. I don't know if like him and Sauron are going to be like duking it out, or maybe they come to some kind of agreement, or maybe Sauron would probably make more sense. Sauron manipulates Adar to attack Eregion, or attack elves, or someone else. I don't know. So then we get this shot of Discount Gandalf somewhere in the desert, most likely Rhûn, because that's where they're headed at the end of season one. And thank God we only get one shot of a Harfoot. Presumably that's Nori. Looks like in this sandstorm, about to be blown away. Because the whole Harfoot storyline in season one was it was pointless. It didn't really. I feel like the only point of that story was to introduce Discount Gandalf, and for that character, known as the Stranger in season one, to essentially try to mislead audiences and think that he could have been Sauron, which was ridiculous. And even though they never officially have said it's Gandalf, just the way he's kind of like the actor, which I do think he did a really good job, because he didn't have a whole lot of dialogue, so a lot of it is him acting through emoting. And again, overall, I thought the acting was actually pretty good in season one, even though I didn't like how a lot of the characters were portrayed, mostly Galadriel and Gil-galad. But the actors are doing the best with what they were given. But all that to say, if it is Gandalf, which it does, I'm pretty sure that's who it's supposed to be. That's another issue, because again, and I think I mentioned this in my review of season one, which is on the channel if you want to watch it and haven't watched it. Gandalf and the other Istari didn't show up in Middle-earth until the Third Age. Now, I was holding out hope at the beginning of season one that the Stranger would end up being one of the Blue Wizards, and even though it's, I guess, still technically possible that the Stranger could end up being one of the Blue Wizards, Pelundo or Alatar, I don't know if they have the rights to any of the Blue Wizards. and I can honestly see like why they introduced Discount Gandalf is maybe there's an Amazon thing to like, hey, introduce hobbits and Gandalf because that's what the fans want and know. Um, but I just feel like that whole Harfoot storyline was awful. I hated the Harfoots. They're terrible, terrible people. Um, so yeah, hopefully that's Nori getting blown away because, yeah, fuck the Harfoots. Um, Now I do like this shot of Elrond in full armor. It looks like he's leading cavalry charge because Elrond, he actually is a warrior. He was the herald of Gil-galad and led the northern armies, not Galadriel. So I do like that shot. And then there's a previous shot too where Elrond was with Galadriel when it looks like they were being surrounded by presumably the Barrow Wights. So I like that they're giving Elrond a little bit more to do, and he's kind of rising to that more leadership role. And then this shot here afterwards, see Celebrimbor tossing some rings into a furnace. So I'm assuming those are probably because I have it frozen or paused here. It looks like there's 7 rings. Could be wrong. So maybe he's forged the 7 rings that later come to the dwarves, and because he looks a little worse for wears, so I'm assuming this is during the sack of Rhuidean. He knows that Sauron's coming for him, and probably for the rings as well. So my guess is this shot he's trying to destroy the rings before Sauron gets to him. And even there is a little bit of a contradiction in the lore of who gave the Rings of Power to the dwarves. And I forget what point it's at, but it's stated at one point that Sauron was the one who gave the Rings of Power to the dwarves. But then I think the dwarves claim it was Celebrimbor who gave him the rings. So that could also, that could still work, because maybe after Sauron kills Celebrimbor, he could have taken the form of Celebrimbor and dished out the rings that way. Because Sauron can shapeshift, he's a Maiar. So that's just pure speculation. And then we get this shot of Sauron being surrounded by all these elves. Again, I'm assuming that's Eregion still. And then this shot of this weird tower turning into ice. I have no clue where that is or what the point of that shot could be. But yeah, that pretty much is the teaser. I don't know. Again, like I said, it's potentially gonna be better than season 1. I still don't think it'll be great. I would love it to be great. I would love all new Tolkien Middle-earth content to be great, because it's my favorite franchise. I love the books. I love the movies. After season 1, I don't really have much faith in Amazon doing a good job telling any stories in Middle-earth, especially the Second Age, where Tolkien wrote. That's the least time period he wrote about, was the Second Age. So yeah, I'm not even gonna say I'm cautiously optimistic. I still don't really have any faith in this season. I hope to be pleasantly surprised. I hope I go in with my rock bottom expectations, and season 2 is actually good. Or again, better yet, I hope it's great. I just don't think it will, because Amazon, again, after that first season, have shown they have no clue what they're doing. I don't think they really care a whole lot about the source material or anything, and that's why season 1 just felt like a fanfic more so than anything Tolkien would have written or done. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the teaser. Pretty underwhelming. So hopefully you enjoyed this very rambly video. Let me know your thoughts below on what you thought or what your expectations are for this season, and just going forward with all things Middle-earth from the Warner Brothers side, the Amazon side. So do the usual YouTube stuff of liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and whatever else you do on here. So until next time, everyone, cheers.